Scott Casper, Takedown Wrestling, the Nike Hot Seat today. Well, we're heading out to talk with a young man who has made his collegiate selection at 22 years old. It's Tanner Hall, one of the top big men in the country. Tanner, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, buddy. It seems like you've been off radar for a bit. I mean, I know you spent about a year and a half at the OTC, but there was a 2 year cycle for you where you went on the mission for your church. Welcome home, first of all.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
And now you've made your selection on where you're going to go to school. Can you tell everybody where you're going to be attending college?
Yeah, I chose Arizona State University.
Arizona State University. Now, it would make sense, I suppose, to me if you'd had time to spend with, say, Zeke Jones at the United States Olympic Training Center, and you'd made this decision. But how did you make the decision?
It definitely was an easy decision. I had lots of schools looking at me. A couple of the ones that were pretty heavy on me was Nebraska was on me, and so was Iowa State. And so between Iowa State, Nebraska, and Arizona State, I had those three to pick from, and they're all three great schools. That's the thing is I did have a great reputation with Zeke after him being out here, but I also knew Coach Jackson and Coach Manning from being at the training center and then being down here with camps. And so, a lot of it was just kind of how I felt about it, about the school and about the team and the culture that existed there. And that influenced my decision a lot.
Okay, and remind everybody which came first, the mission or the year and a half you spent at the OTC.
I spent a year and a half at the OTC out of high school, and then I went on a 2 year mission for my church, and then I've moved back to the OTC since I've been back, and I've been at the training center for around 4 months now.
A lot of kids, they might go on their mission for the church, and they might go to North Carolina or South Carolina. You didn't go to either one of the Carolinas. Where did you go?
I went to Uganda.
How was that?
That was great. I loved it. It's a completely foreign culture, completely foreign people, and it was fun to get to live like them and to learn their culture. Of course, when you arrive, they're speaking English, and you're still trying to figure out what language they're speaking. It sounds more like Chinese than it does English, but then you kind of get used to it, and you start to make friends. And I have a lot of good friends I've left back there, and I still keep in touch with them a lot. So it was a great experience.
So English is their national language, but it sounds different the way they deliver the spoken word than perhaps the way you and I were raised.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, just they have their accent that can be difficult to understand when you're new sometimes, and they use what to us would be considered improper English. And so when you first kind of get there, you kind of look around and you're like, oh my gosh, but then you get used to it, and it's a good time.
All right, so again, we're talking with Tanner Hall. He sits in the Nike hot seat today. Tanner, lots is going on in the world of wrestling. Of course, the NCAA Division One championships just finalized, and it was Nick Gwizdowski who rose to the top of the heap again this year for the second consecutive year. Not a lot different than you size-wise, because you're about 6'1", 6'2"?
Yeah, I'm about 6'2", 6'3", around there.
Okay, so you may have a half inch on Gwiz, but were you paying attention to this year's NCAA championships?
Of course. I attended them, so it
Okay,
was
so
fun.
you
Yeah.
were up close and personal. What did you think of the heavyweight class overall?
I think Gwiz definitely does a great job of wrestling at the heavyweight class. I've wrestled him before, and I watched him wrestle here, and he was impressive. He did a good job wrestling. I definitely look forward to competing in that weight class in the next few years. I would definitely say maybe the top 8 guys are pretty good.
The top 8 guys are very good. As a matter of fact, it's perhaps the deepest we've seen the heavyweight field in quite some time. You've got Adam Kuhn up at Michigan State, Mike McMullen at Northwestern, who obviously is graduating. But there's one more year on Gwizdowski,
Yep.
at least if he doesn't take a red shirt. And I don't see that happening. But what do you see as far as the landscape goes when it comes to the heavyweights? How do you see yourself fitting in, and when?
In terms of when, right now the plan is not to redshirt. It's all going to kind of depend on what me and Coach Jones can talk about. But right now the plan isn't to redshirt as long as I can get my weight up. In terms of where I see myself fitting, one of the advantages of coming in a little bit older is the fact that I've wrestled almost every single one of the guys you saw on the podium at the NCAAs this year. I've wrestled almost all of them before, whether it was out in Fargo or at a Fila tournament somewhere. But I see myself fitting in pretty good.
And in terms of your age, I mean, you are coming in 4 years in advance with international experience, or at least at the Olympic Training Center and FILA level events. And there's a whole lot of advantage to what you've done, but life doesn't always meet up with expectations. Where are you at physically? Where are you at mentally? Where are you at scholastically? Do you jump in? I know a lot of kids do bridge programs, or bridging through the summer to start in the fall, and then they do a redshirt year. You mentioned that perhaps there won't be a redshirt year for you, at least initially. But how do you see yourself as you insert yourself into the collegiate lifestyle?
I guess we can start academically. Academically, I'm fine. Right now, I'm taking a online math class to kind of catch myself on my math. It's been a while. And so I want to go into the field of engineering most likely. And so that'll be important. And so I might go attend summer school just because I think it's a good idea to get ahead. That way, with engineering being a pretty heavy major to take, I can take my time. I won't feel rushed. In terms of mentally, that's one thing that my mission helped out with a lot is on your mission, you mature a lot. You learn how to take care of yourself. You're living in a foreign country where you don't really know much about the people, or there's a different currency and you have to learn how to budget. And so mentally, I feel like I'm fine. Physically, it's coming back. I'm in the weight room a lot, trying to lift. I'm back on the mat, learning my technique, getting back in the grind. And so it's coming back. I'm feeling pretty good.
All right. So your brother at 19 years old is currently on his mission. Is he? Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay. Where is he? Where is he serving his mission?
He's in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Okay. Coincidentally.
Yep.
All right. So Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints actually got the benefit, I think, of having you on your mission. I always look at kids like you and Kyler Sanderson and others when they come back from their mission. I'm not going to say completely different guys, but generally speaking, a completely different worldview. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You just learn to appreciate things so much more, especially depending on where you serve. Where I served, there's a lot of poverty, and they view things a lot differently than we do here. And so when you first get there, it's kind of strange and foreign to you, and you think, okay, that's weird. But by the time you leave, you've begun to appreciate how they viewed life and how they viewed certain things, and it definitely affects you for the rest of your life.
And obviously that's what you're looking at college for as well, to continue that extension, that growth. What will you be focusing on your first year? You mentioned math on the online course, and you mentioned engineering, but there's a whole lot of different schools of engineering, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, right now, Arizona State has a great Barrett Honors program, Barrett's Honors College. And so I'm looking to get into that. It's a wonderful opportunity to not only excel in your education, but as well in athletics. And so in terms of engineering, right now the field I'm looking at is electrical engineering. I think that'd be a good fit. My father's an electrical engineer, and he really enjoys what he does, and I'm good with math and science. And so I'm thinking somewhere along those lines. Of course, as you go through college and you see more of what other fields involve, maybe you gravitate more towards one than the other. But that's kind of what I'm thinking right now.
All right, so the interest there, obvious, and following in your father's footsteps to at least some degree, I think is a tremendous. Meridian High School. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
You absolutely ruled the Idaho landscape, and one of the most impressive young men, not just at your weight. And I want to make sure I'm clear on this. You weren't just impressive at your weight. You're impressive in the sport. You were able to find the best in the sport and make the most of it. And perhaps that says a lot about your upbringing, but I think it also says something about, the internal you, the strength that you have inside. Was this a difficult decision on where to go to college? Was it a difficult decision for you? Did you struggle?
Kind of. not really struggled, but it was a hard decision. I understand that college is going to depict the rest of my life. It'll depict who I'm going to marry, what kind of job I'm going to get, what kind of education I'm going to get, all these different things, how I'm going to stay connected in the wrestling community. So I knew it was a very big, important decision. I did a lot of praying about it. At the same time, like I said, you have those three great coaches from those schools I was talking about, and I respected them all a ton. And the hardest part of the whole decision was probably making those phone calls to those coaches that I had to tell no and tell them that, your school isn't for me. And it was hard because I still respected them. I still knew their accomplishments and what they could do. And it was that was probably the hardest part for me, what was having to tell these men that you've looked up to and kind of disappoint them. But
No,
they were.
you didn't kind of disappoint anybody, dude. You disappointed all of them, with the exception of Zeke Jones. I will tell you this.
Yeah.
They want to win in the worst way, and they want to have a positive effect on young people, and all of them do. But there's only so many Tanner Halls to go around.
Exactly. And they understood that. They were good about it. They knew. And so.
All right, so Zeke Jones, obviously the beneficiary there. You've got some other great coaches and some outstanding young people to affiliate with. At 22 years old, in many ways, you're going to step into kind of a leadership role. Are you prepared for that?
Yeah, for sure. A lot at my high school, our school split my sophomore year. And so our football team was state championship my freshman year. Our wrestling team did real well. And then all of a sudden our sophomore year, sports just didn't go so well for my school. And so I kind of had to step up to a leadership position at a young age at my high school. And so I think I have some experience doing that, not only between the high school, between the mission, between other life events that I've had. So I think that that's something that's great at ASU is they're trying to build that program we're trying to build that program into a number one team. We have the number one recruiting class this year, and I think we can do it with the help of Coach Jones. We also have Lee Pritz there and Chris Pendleton, and we have great backing through the Sunkiss program, Sunkiss Kids. And so with all of that, with all of those pieces fitting together, I thought it was a great fit for me.
Well, you're a great fit for the sport of wrestling, that's for sure. We could use a whole lot more Tanner Halls, and we're going to get them. Right now, you're sitting at about 215, 220?
I'm at about 225, 230.
Okay, so I'm not a really good estimate. I still think I'm 175. Anyway, Tanner, best of luck to you, my friend. Congratulations on making the decision. I'm looking forward to seeing a little bit more of what you will become on the mats, and I know the NCAA is as well, man. It's kind of excitement that we look for. Tanner Hall is electing to go to Arizona State. He'll be there over the summer. We'll see him start in the fall, and it's going to be a battle for sure. Look for Arizona State to continue to improve as they add young people with great intentions like Tanner Hall. Tanner, my best to your family.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure appreciate the time today. He's been our guest in our Nike hot seat. It's Tanner Hall. The heavyweight continues his education. He'll head to Arizona State. Thanks for listening, and thanks for watching.